Okay, hello, my name is Carlos Casanova. Over the past 2.5 years, 3 years, I've been at Iowa State University working on my PhD. I'm in the School of Education with the Social and Cultural Studies Department. The project that I'm working on at Iowa State is I'm working with high school students, Latino, first generation, some are undocumented, some are documented, who come to the center every Wednesday afternoon, and we just discuss culture issues, educational issues, political issues, social issues, all related to their experiences within high school and also within their community. So we bring those lived experiences into the center and we discuss those, how they kind of play out and how they're connected to different kind of institutions. For example, political institutions, educational institutions, and also criminal justice institutions.
All right, Carlos, tell us about your first year in the PhD program.
Yeah, so my first year in the PhD program, it was quite the experience transitioning from doing community-based organization work into the university. So I was responsible for doing some quantitative research in a research institute at a predominantly white institution in the Midwest, a very large institution. It was very difficult first transitioning into this new space. For many reasons. I think the main reason and the primary reason was me coming from my Latino, Mexican American history background, culture, going into a space where there was predominantly white faculty members who just really didn't support the research that I was doing, maybe wasn't really familiar or aware of the work that I wanted to do, coming from community-based organizations, coming from students of color, and trying to incorporate that at this institution. So I kind of felt that I didn't have any much support. I didn't feel like faculty members were taking me under their wing and really kind of expanding and increasing my research skills that I gained here at the Capri Center, and I was trying to transfer them up there. And so I just felt uncomfortable. I didn't feel welcome. I felt lost. And it was a rough first semester that I was really ready to come back to San Antonio. I didn't feel comfortable there, and I just kind of felt like I didn't belong. So.
Okay, now what happened to turn that around, Carlos?
Yeah, so what happened was I actually met a faculty member who was a Latino male there who was doing similar work that I was doing here in San Antonio. He was working with youth, specifically underrepresented first generation Latino students, high school students. And I connected with him and he told me about a community-based organization that he was working with. He asked me if I want to work with him as a research assistant, and he's done ethnography, qualitative research, which I did here at the Capri Center. So my skills transferred perfectly over to the work that he was doing. So over the past 2 years now, working with this youth group, I've just I've kind of understand and starting to realize how research can be used in community-based organizations to really expose high school students to the ways research can contribute to the education system and the way that they can do research to expose and kind of be aware of some of the issues that they face in their high schools. So that's kind of what I've been doing over the past 2.5 years. And also, we've taken these young folks to this university and have them actually work with pre-service teachers, having them create like a social justice classroom, having these high school students talk to pre-service teachers about their experiences in schools, some of the, racism, gender issues, social class issues that they experience in the high school due to many pre-service teachers not being aware of the history and the culture of specifically Mexican Americans and Latinos and Latino students in the Midwest. So that's some of the work that we've been doing with these students, and it's research, and it's social science, qualitative, rigorous, real powerful research that can have a major impact on the education system.
All right, tell us also about how you see your role as a professor in the future university professor, and how you're going to use research to make a difference.
Okay, so I think there's two ways that I'm kind of seeing myself having an impact and doing research. One of the ways is continuing to work with students in community-based organizations. That's where I come from. That's my passion. That's my desire, is being in the community. So working with high school students on doing research on what we call Y.P.R.I, is Youth Participatory Action Research. So we work with high school students and engaging them in the qualitative research process. So they identify an issue, they come up with a research question, they go collect the data, they analyze the data, and they present their findings. So we kind of guide these high school students through that process. And it's a very powerful process, and it really introduces them to the rigors of the qualitative research process. And also we take them to present their findings to school principals, board members, pre-service teachers. So it has a major impact in multiple ways, I think. The other way I see myself having an impact as a professor is in the classroom. Over the past year and a half, I've taught a social justice multicultural education class. And in this course, I've adapted, so these students go to their practicum during this period. So I've introduced them to Funds of Knowledge, Louis Moe, and ethnography as an educator. So these teachers go into the schools and they make observations during the practicum on the school, the community, the interactions, and the students. And every week they upload their observations to a Blackboard. And so I give them comments back based on their observations. They come back to the practicum after 4 weeks and they analyze their data and they write a paper using themes that they've collected and through their observations during the practicum. So they are actually doing research as pre-service teachers, and it's amazing to have pre-service teachers walk into a course such as a social justice course and introduce them to concepts such as racism, gender, social class, power, privilege, and have them not be aware of these concepts. And many of them have never seen like these kind of concepts play out in the education system. So now when they're going to the practicum, they're observing racism, they're observing gender issues, they're being aware that there's social class issues, they're being aware that there's ableism going on. And then they come back to the classroom and they say, oh, we see it now. We are aware that these are issues going on in the education system. So now what that does, it introduces them to like this concept of social justice educators. So now they get into the education system and they're creating curriculum differently, they're adjusting their classroom to have these concepts and ideas kind of play out within the education system. And also pushing back against mainstream curriculum and these notions of education that this country has really contributed over the many years. So.
Okay.